Just finished watching The Simpsons and Family Guy crossover. It was crazy. The chicken fight was crazy. Their car got stolen. It's on YouTube right now. You might want to watch it. Okay, so I just finished watching the Family Guy Simpsons crossover. It's Family Guy and Simpsons crossover. It was crazy. Just to tell you, they had a whole fight over beer. They went to court where Fred Flintstone was there. Can you believe that? Fred Flintstone from the Flintstones. That's an old show, by the way. Really old. It's crazy. That was so crazy. So they were basically fighting. They're like push, 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 and then they went into a bus. They were like push, and then kick into the window like push, and then what's his name again? I just forgot his name. Peter Griffin. Got it. Okay, so Peter was in the bus door. His head and his body was like hanging out into the streets. His head was inside the school bus. It was like, and then his body was getting hit by cars, and then he just got hit by a tree, and then Homer Simpson was like driving the bus, and then Peter was on the top of the school bus out of nowhere. It's like crazy. And I can't crack my finger for some reason. There we go. And it's almost 11 o'clock. Wow. Okay, it's like 45 minutes. Or 40 minutes, I don't get it. Okay, so rest of the chicken fight. And then they drove the bus. They were fighting in the bus, and the bus drove all the way across the city and to like a place, like a scientist lab thing. Then they dropped into radioactive things. Got radioactive superpowers. Flew up, started fighting in the air, punched each other back really far. Went through a lot of things, like through buildings and billboards and stuff like that. And then Homer was like in the air all of a sudden, and then Peter just comes out of nowhere, comes like this, punches Homer in the face, and he's like, ugh. And then all of a sudden aliens are just watching them fight. And they go, and Peter and Homer go into space. They're like, yeah, like that. And then they're like inside of that little spaceship that the aliens were in. The aliens get sucked into space, and they're like in there. And then Homer loses his powers, and then Homer loses his powers. He's hanging on real tight so that he doesn't get sucked into space. And then Peter's like, yes, I'm the only one who has radioactive superpowers. And then he loses his superpowers. He's like, spoke too soon. And then he hangs on to Homer's feet. And then they both get sucked. And then, they not get sucked into space. The spaceship just falls like into Earth. And then they're like near the Grand Canyon. The spaceship's like, and then there's like a big rock there, and then it slows down, goes like this, and then Peter's gonna be like, we're gonna make it. Then Homer's like, trust me, we're not. And then they just fall into the canyon. They're like, and then they fall, and then they keep falling down like, Then they like, like off of every cliff. And then when they're at the bottom, they start fighting, and they're like, it's so crazy. They almost died. They were this close from dying. That close from dying. At the end, it looked like Homer died, but he didn't. He didn't. It looked like there was blood everywhere. So they were punching and punching and punching. Then they just took like rocks around, like big rocks around them. Then Peter took this big rock, put it on top of Homer's hand. He's like, and then Homer gets the rock off of his hand, and then like Peter, then wait, before I tell you that, when he got the rock on his hand, Peter had like a sharp glass thing in his hand, and it had a pointy end. He was gonna stab him with it. He was like, but then this is a little inappropriate. So he gets up. So Homer's on the floor. He's like, and then he gets up like, and then bites. Yeah. And then Homer gets up, takes the rock, and he's about to crush Peter's head. He's like, and then Peter's like, I don't think so. And then the spaceship comes falling down from the cliff, and he's like, and it smashes on Homer, and it looks like there's blood everywhere, but there's not, but it looks like there's blood everywhere. It is blood, and he's like, and then Peter just walks away, like walking into the sunset, and then Homer, he's like, he hasn't been cut in half by that thing. He did not die. So he just comes out from there. He's like, he dusts himself off. And he walks, and then he's like, what are you still doing here, Peter? But Peter was walking into the sunset. How did he sit down right there? He was only like 2 feet away from where Homer was crushed by a spaceship. And then Peter's like, hey, you parked your car right behind my car. So all this happened just because a little fight over beer. That is crazy. And disgusting. Blech. Okay, so that's the end. Whole chicken fight. Thank you for watching. This thing scarred me for life. Bye.